Support comes from Sunday Morning Cafe, founded by researcher, speaker, and therapist Dr. Tom Wagner, offering mini retreats with live music and online resources to build resilience and community. SundayMorningCafe.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. If you're an NPR listener who enjoys talking with strangers, and you're among the millions of people who marvel, laugh, or even cry over StoryCorps features on Morning Edition each Friday, scoot a little closer for this next conversation. That's because something special starts on July 7th, a project called Connect250 that will pair strangers from across the country to share about their lives and preserve those recordings in the Library of Congress. To give us some backstory about that initiative, as well as notes about taking part in it, we welcome Dave Isay, founder of StoryCorps. Dave, it's great to have you with us today.
Hi, Elaine. I'm very happy to be here, and I like the fried chicken segment, the parts that I heard.
Oh, wonderful. Fried chicken is also a unifier.
Yes, it is.
So, Dave, did I miss anything in that intro in describing Connect250?
Well, what you said, it is a time capsule. It's a time capsule of our voices and stories. It is not a physical time capsule. It's a virtual time capsule. We're asking people to meet a stranger, it sounds a little bit scary, but it's, as you know, from doing interviews all day in your show, meeting a stranger can be one of the most meaningful conversations that you have. And the microphone gives you the license to say things and ask things you don't normally get to talk about. So we are building as we speak this portal that makes it possible for you to connect with a stranger, have a 40-minute conversation with that person, and that interview goes to the Library of Congress. So your great-great-great-grandkids get to know you through this story. Mm-hmm. So that's the time capsule piece of this. And it's, I just heard the Jeremy Hobson promo also about how politicized the 250th has been. And I think we at StoryCorps felt this is a 6-week-old project. Everything came together in the last 6 weeks. We felt like we were underwhelmed by the offerings for A250, and they are politicized. And, in the spirit of public broadcasting, instead of punching you in the nose, we wanted to do something that kind of whispers in your ear. So that is this platform that we're building that's kind of a Hey America, Meet America effort.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about who's involved in this, Dave, and who is supporting it?
Sure. It's Morning Edition and local stations like St. Louis Public Radio and StoryCorps. That's it. It's us. And we're doing this on a bootstrap funding. There's no real funding for it, but there are a couple of funders who have helped us along the way, with general operating support. But it's a very low cost, but very kind of beautiful effort to remind us who we really are as Americans.
Mm-hmm. Can you provide a very quick description of StoryCorps for people maybe who are not familiar with it, and how or why Connect250 differs from StoryCorps?
Sure. Yeah, so StoryCorps is a nonprofit. We've been around for more than 20 years. And it's a very simple idea. We started in New York City and then launched mobile trailers to travel the country. You bring a loved one to one of these trailers. You're met by StoryCorps. You go inside the trailer with your dad or your grandpa or your best friend, and you sit across from him or her for 40 minutes. The facilitator's in the corner. You're in this kind of sacred space, complete silence. The lights are low. And you ask questions and you listen. And I made radio documentaries for decades before starting StoryCorps. And as I said earlier, and as you know, the microphone gives you the license to talk about things you haven't talked about before. And people in StoryCorps think of this as, if I had 40 minutes left to live, what would I say to my grandpa? What would I ask of him or her? At the end of this session, you get a copy and another one stays with us and goes to the Library of Congress. So your great-great-great-great-grandkids can get to know your grandpa through his voice and story. We've had about 750,000 people participate across the country so far. And essentially what we're doing is kind of collecting the wisdom of humanity because of the nature of the questions that happen in the booth. Now, Connect250, all the people in that 750,000 know and love each other. And as you said at the beginning of this segment, Connect250 is about putting strangers together and giving them the chance to honor each other by listening to one another, tell the story of, who they love and who's been kind. All the StoryCorps questions that people, when you're in the platform, which is this kind of delightful platform, protected Zoom-like platform, you have StoryCorps questions scrolling, and you get the chance to, have a very intimate conversation with a stranger, and it is. Someone asked me recently. I was talking to the person who founded StoryCorps with me, and he said, when I asked you originally before StoryCorps was even called StoryCorps why you were doing this, you said, I want other people to have the experience that I've had of traveling around the country and listening to the voices of strangers and honoring them by listening to them. It's just such an amazing feeling. And that's essentially what's happening with Connect250. You get the chance to listen to and ask questions of and talk to a stranger in a very in a structured but very personal way.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier, Dave, that it's just 6 weeks ago that this idea sort of came to be conceived. What is it about the stranger's part that really speaks to this moment?
Well, I was reading this morning actually about something I hadn't heard of before, which is a stranger on the train phenomena. And this is something that comes out of social psychology that that psychologists have observed that people can have the deepest conversations with strangers, even more so than with people they know and love, because there's no risk or consequences. And so I think that's a piece of it, the way that the stranger conversations can unfold. But also, we live at a moment when we don't talk to our neighbors, for instance. People feel isolated. They feel unheard. They feel alone. Like no one cares about their stories, and there's all kinds of data that speaks to that. When you look at the percentage of people who have talked to their neighbors, for instance, it's dropped precipitously in the last 10 years. So I can think of kind of no more patriotic activity than getting to know someone who's a stranger and honoring them and having them become part of American history. Mm-hmm. And I should say that we, as you said it in the intro, the site goes live on July 7th, but we've had about 10,000 people pre-register already, and you can sign up, and we want as many people to sign up as possible at connect250.org. And then on the 7th, you'll get instructions about how to get into the portal and get to work and have that conversation with a stranger for American history.
Mm-hmm. Dave, who is it that can participate? Are there age or region sorts of standards that you're using?
So you have to be 18 or older, and we're going to match you with someone who does not live near you. And that's the criteria. Part of when we had to build this technology so quickly, instead of a complicated matching algorithm, it's really just someone who's in a different zip code far from you, ideally. Mm-hmm. And it's something like a dating app, the experience, but I guess it's like a dating app for democracy.
Right. And then maybe matching people not necessarily by the things that they have in common, or how does the matching happen?
Yeah, so it's the matching in this case, and I'm giving you a view under the hood about how Connect250 works. It's simply geography. You're matched by someone who does not live in the same area as you do, and that's it. But the way you do pick. So you do pick who you want to talk to. So basically, you get into this platform, and you get bios, first name only, no last name, where someone lives, and a brief biography. And you get, 5 at a time, and you say, do I want to talk to this person? Do I want to talk to this person? You pick who you want to talk to. If you don't want to talk to anybody in those 5, you refresh, and there's another 5. Refresh, there's another 5. And once you find someone you want to talk to, you click on them, and they get a message. And if they they'll look at your bio, and if they want to talk to you, they'll message you back. And then you go on a secure texting platform and pick a time, and then you're off to the races, and you have this conversation. There's a clock up top telling you how long you have left. Steve Inskeep, the host of Morning Edition, welcomes you into the conversation. And then you have, again, like a conversation which is kind of scary to think about, but I guarantee, and I think you could probably back this up, that it's going to be an extremely meaningful conversation.
And people can have more than one conversation then?
Yes, as many times as you want to do it. Absolutely.
Will people get to hear edited versions of Connect250, sort of in the same way that they hear StoryCorps? Yeah, on Morning Edition?
So this is a huge experiment. We have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. No one has ever really tried anything like this before. Depending on what happens in these interviews, yes, Morning Edition will be running clips. And there's opportunities for local stations like St. Louis Public Radio to request interviews. You're only going to have one person who's in St. Louis. The other person will be somewhere else. But we'll be working with public stations also to create local excerpts. But there will very, very likely be national excerpts that you hear on Morning Edition at some point towards the end of July. The interview portal, as I said, opens up on the 7th. And then it takes a couple of days for interviews to start coming in. And then hopefully we'll have a huge volume of interviews by the 3rd week of July.
What's your sense of people's readiness or hunger even for a project of this kind, Dave?
Well, I expected 1,000, maybe 2,000 people to pre-register. So the fact that we're going to hit 10,000 within the next hour probably is shocking to me. So I guess people are looking for something meaningful to do for the 250th, and I that's what was our intention, was to create something that people would feel was useful and productive and spoke to the importance of our 250th birthday. We hope that when at the 350th birthday, we're creating something that's built to last, that people will be able to go back and say, what were people doing at the 250th, and listen to these recordings and get to know who we really are as Americans.
And as we close the last 30 seconds, what are your hopes for this project, Dave?
I hope people feel a little more connected, a little less alone, and are reminded about what an incredible country this is and the incredible people who live here. If you listen to 24-hour news, if you read a lot of what's on the web, if you go to social media, you have a very different picture of who we are as Americans. And the truth is that people are basically good. And you're going to be able to figure that out, for yourself by having this conversation with a stranger. It takes courage, but it's worth it. Nothing good is easy.
Dave Isay, founder of StoryCorps, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Have a great holiday.
You too. The Connect250 initiative starts production July 7th, but you can sign up now to be part of it. You can visit Connect250.org to learn more.
This episode was produced by Elaine Shaw.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Hi, I'm Laura Hamden, and my colleague Jessica Rogan and I are your daily hosts of the Gateway newsletter. We meet with the editors in the STLPR newsroom every weekday to bring you the top local stories of the day in a quick and easy 6-minute read by 6 a.m. In an age of overwhelm, it's a refreshing, thoughtful take on the news day, if we do say so ourselves. Fine-tune your daily news habit with the Gateway newsletter. Subscribe at stlpr.org/gateway.